That's meant to be.
All right, got it.
Yay!
Did we save from before?
Is there anyone that we need to let know, like, hey, lost connection, we're back, or anything like that?
Okay, no.
Kathy?
What?
Is there anyone that we need to let know that, hey, we lost connection and we're back?
They have the Zoom code, so I'll post it.
Okay.
Actually, Ryan posted in the DM.
Was it saved that from what we were doing before?
Okay.
Did it save what we were doing before?
Maybe, maybe not.
In my phone.
So one last question, Kathy. Do you have any idea if it saved what we just recorded? So that even though the computer shut off?
Great.
There'll be 2 different videos you have to watch.
Okay.
No.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I can edit them.
Let's see, part 1, part 2, or yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
No, I just want to make sure.
So you guys got it. Again, you're usually gonna be sitting down when you're doing this. Just a quick refresher, you're sharpening on this side, 90-degree angle, perpendicular to the counter, perpendicular to top, getting all those blades in between each of the teeth. Typically on the tapering knives, like the trimmer and the carver, you're gonna probably do a little more focus on the tip right here. So, and then on this side, we're removing burrs, like you're slicing a piece of that stone off, removing the burrs. Okay, on this side, remember, you're only going down. If you drag up, you're gonna cause it to dull. So you're only going down with the sharpening, not up and down, just down. This side, you can kind of go up and down as long as you keep the angles. All right, we saw that. We're inviting people, I think so. All right, so we got the sharpening down. You guys good with that?
Yes.
Okay, for straight edges, I'm going to recommend for the longest time, you would pull out these gray stones for straight edges. Okay, I'm going to actually recommend now that a couple years ago, Cutco improved the straight edge sharpener that we use. So I'm just going to recommend you use this for the straight edges. This is way easier. Okay, so if you can hand me the chef knife or whatever is up the top right.
No, I didn't have to think about it.
Just I've sold knives for a little while. All you do with these, they typically come with instructions, so you can just read the instructions that it come with. But all you typically do is you kind of put at a 45-degree angle, medium pressure, and you just pull through. Again, perpendicular, right? So 90 degrees. It's kind of angled down. You just pull all the way through to the tip. You do medium pressure at first for a few strokes, somewhere between 5 to 10 strokes. And then you do kind of lighter pressure to finish it off. All right, then you wipe it off. So the straight edges are pretty easy, okay, especially with this thing. They used to be a lot more complicated with these. All right, so white stones for the double D edge.
White stones.
Grooves facing in on the right side, tip of a triangle facing in on the left side.
That's if you're right-handed.
Correct, if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, it'll be vice versa. Okay, actually, yeah, because then it'd be like that. Yeah. So for the straight edges, I highly recommend this guy. It makes life a lot easier. Okay.
How many times? 7 to 8?
Yeah, 5 to 10 on the medium pressure, and then a few like finishing touches. And then sometimes the straight edges, they'll, even after you do that, they're still going to need factory sharpening, especially if they've had them for a long time. Okay, so if you kind of feel like, oh man, you know, it's not quite getting the edge that we want, then we're going to recommend the customer send it off. Okay, especially if they're using them the wrong way, right? Like if they're using a paring knife on the cutting board and they're slicing a ton, they're just flattening that blade out. You can see if the sharpening does it, but a lot of times that's going to need factory sharpening. Okay, same thing with a straight edge that they're slicing with. The straight edges are designed for chopping. God bless you. Bless you again. Dicing and chopping, right? Or the paring knife is straight cuts. There's not a lot of slicing, right? So if they're using a chef knife or another straight edge, doing a lot of slicing on a board, that's going to be a blade that's rolled over pretty badly. And you can see if you can get the edge there, but there's a chance that you'll have to recommend they send it off. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's that. Let's cover now some of the approach stuff. All right. And so again, fortunately we have this video because there's going to be some stuff I'm going to share that you might not be able to jot down, but I still recommend as quickly as you can, seeing what you can write down. Also, I did have someone type this out a couple years ago, but it's missing some key phrases. So I'm going to see if I can maybe send that out and maybe have someone insert the key phrases. I would do it if I had time, but I'm running multiple businesses and very busy across the country. So, and what did you say?
Slight flex.
So here you go. So I walk in the house, okay, and I give some kind of genuine compliment, genuine keyword, like, oh wow, you got a beautiful home. Or, oh wow, what an amazing living room. Oh my gosh, you got a beautiful kitchen. Oh wow, that's so cool. I love how your windows face the backyard like that, or whatever, right? Oh man, that's a cool TV, dude. Right? Genuine. All right. I usually give some kind of genuine compliment, and I'm like, hey, great, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you give me a chance to come by and sharpen your knives. And this is a key phrase. I used to have appointments sometimes where they'd be like, all right, here's the knives, bye. And then they'd walk off. And then I'd be the lonely knife guy in the corner, sharpening knives by myself, right? So I had to come up with something to prevent that. So what I came up with was this. Hey, thanks for having me. We typically do it at the kitchen table. We're really big on service. We're really big on service. I always want to make sure it was well worth your time. I always want to make sure you feel like it was well worth your time that I came out. We're really big on service. I always want to make sure you feel like it was well worth your time that I came out. So we have our customers sit down with us while we go through the sharpening to make sure you're satisfied every step of the way. Really big on service. I always want to make sure you feel like it was well worth your time that I came out. So we have our customers sit down with us while we go through the sharpening to make sure you're totally satisfied every step of the way. So we have our customers sit down with us while we go through the sharpening to make sure you're totally satisfied every step of the way. Okay. Okay. So that sets the tone, right? You're not a washer repairman or a refrigerator repairman or woman, right? Like you're not there to fix something that here's my dishwasher, bye, right? Like this is an experience. This is something we do with the customer. So we set that tone. So usually a follow-up question to that is, so would you prefer to do it at the kitchen table or standing at the kitchen counter? Prefer to do it at the kitchen table or standing at the kitchen counter? And they're like, oh, whatever you prefer, then take the kitchen table. Okay, then once we establish where we're going to do it, then we go get their knives. So I go grab their knives, go grab their block, I bring it to the kitchen table. And as I set it down, I start to get out my sharpener. So my sharpener is at this point in my bag, right? But what I do is I pull out my blue book. I set it down as if I'm just kind of like, it's in my way to my sharpener. So let me just get this out of my way into my sharpener. I don't put it in front of the customer. It's on the table now. All right. Now that I'm on my way to my sharpener, then I get my sharpener out. Okay, then I immediately start sharpening a knife, because what are we there for?
Sharpening knives.
Sharpening knives, right? So we want to make sure they know that's what we're there for. So then I pull out, typically you want to sharpen double the edges first typically. So I usually either start with the table knives or the trimmer. So then I start doing the sharpening, and while I start doing the sharpening, I have 3 questions I ask to really set the tone for the service appointment. First question I ask is, so how long have you had your cut go? So how long have you had your cut go? Now, when you call to schedule the appointment, there's a chance that they've already told you this over the phone. If they told you over the phone, you just simply say, Remind me again, how long have you had your Cutco? So if they've already told you over the phone, you just simply insert, remind me again, how long have you had your Cutco? Whatever answer they give, there's an immediate follow-up question. The follow-up question is, wow, that's awesome. Don't you just love them? Wow, that's awesome. 15 years? That's awesome. Don't you just love them? 5 years? Wow, that's awesome. Don't you just love them? There's a reason I do this. So yeah, I've had them 15 years. Wow, 15 years. Wow, that's awesome. Don't you just love them? Now, the reason why I do this is because there's something called law of familiarity. The law of familiarity states that the more familiar you become with something, the more likely you are to take it for granted. Okay, this is why, unfortunately, we tend to treat strangers better than we do our family. Because we take them for granted, we become familiar with them, right? So because of the law of familiarity, there's a chance that if they've had Cutco for a long time, they might logically know that Cutco is amazing and been awesome and has been fantastic and has saved them a ton of money and has made meals so much easier. They may logically know that, but if they've had them for so long and that law of familiarity is kicked in, they might have lost sight of the emotional part of that. So when I ask them, don't you just love them, with like an enthusiastic tone, that's kind of rekindling that, yeah, I love my knives. They've been awesome. And just getting them reconnected to that emotional piece of how much they love their knives, not only just helps them appreciate more of what they have and gets them out of that law of familiarity, but it also helps create more of a buying atmosphere to why it makes sense for them to get more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Third question. So first, how long you had them? Oh, 18 years, this is amazing. Wow, don't you just love them? Third question. When you first got your Cutco, how did you get them? When you first got your Cutco, how did you get them? Was it like a neighbor's kid? Was it someone from work? Did maybe one of your friends recommend like a high school or college student to you? Did one of your friends or family members recommend like a high school or college student to you? And if they were recommended, if someone was recommended to them, you say, wow, that's super cool. I'm sure they appreciated your help. And aren't you glad you were recommended? Could you imagine where you'd be without your Cutco all these years? Oh, wow, that's really cool. I'm sure they appreciated your help. Oh, wow, that's really cool. I'm sure they appreciated your help. And aren't you glad you were recommended? Could you imagine where you'd be without your Cutco all these years? Oh, that's so cool. I'm sure they appreciated your help. And aren't you glad you were recommended? Could you imagine where you'd be without your Cutco all these years? What that does is that sets the tone for your recommendation. Look how that worked out for you. Right? So when they see themselves as they were a recommendation and that worked out great for them, they're glad they were recommended. When you ask for recommendations later, it's going to be that much easier to ask for them. Because now they're conscious of the benefits of being recommended. Make sense?
Yes. Do you have strikes like the exact same way?
Somewhat, you'll see. That's a little later. All right, so say those three things, and then I go right into continuing sharpening and just build a rapport at this point. Sharpening rapport, sharpening rapport, sharpening rapport. Because what are we there for? We're there to service their knives and make it a comfortable experience. So we do that by building rapport. And rapport is so important because whenever there's rapport, whoever is most certain is always influencing the other. Whenever there's rapport, whoever is most certain is always influencing the other. So when you're in rapport with your customers and you're certain that what you're providing is going to be valuable for them, that's going to influence the fact that they can see the value that much more easily. So I'm building rapport, asking things like, so, how long have you lived in this house? How long have you lived in this neighborhood? Where did you and your husband meet? Right? Those types of questions, just genuinely getting to know them. Right? So much about building rapport isn't so much about being interesting. It's about being interested. Building rapport isn't about being interesting. It's about being interested. Like genuinely interested in these customers, genuinely interested in their answers, genuinely interested in these people and in their lives and the opportunity to serve them. And so when you're asking questions and you're genuinely interested and curious to know what they're sharing, you're going to be connecting to them more and they're going to feel more connected to you. So for the first, let's say they have a homemaker. For the first like 3 or 4 knives, I'm just sharpening, building rapport. We're not talking about buying more stuff. I'm just there to sharpen and give them a good experience for the first 3 or 4 knives. Usually by that point, we're kind of running out of stuff to build rapport on. So at that point, when there's a little bit of a lull, that's when I do the transition of introducing the blue book. The way I do this. So we're kind of building rapport, I kind of ask the question, they're like kind of tapering off with their answer. There's a little bit of like a pause. And in that pause when I'm like, hey, by the way, what most of my customers do while I'm sharpening is they just flip through the book and just kind of check out some of the new stuff, whether it's for you or for gifts for other people. Now, before I even hand you the book, let me just preface, and hopefully this will be recorded because I know I'm going kind of fast. Before I even hand you the book, let me just preface. Is it recording? Look, recording.
Looks like it's recording.
Is that what live means, right? Yeah. There you go. As you guys are technologically advanced. So, by the way, what most of my customers do while I'm doing the sharpening is just flip through the book and just see if there's new stuff you haven't seen yet, whether it's for yourself or for others, for gifts. And let me just preface, before I even hand you the book, I just want you to know, I'm not here to sell you a thing. It's a service call. It's a service call, not a sales call. I'm just here to sharpen your knives. So you don't have to buy a single thing from me. As long as you're happy with the service, I'm gonna leave you a happy camper. But there's a reason why I do this, even on my sharpening appointments. There's a reason why most of my customers do wind up buying from me, even on my sharpening appointments. Let me show you how they do it, and then I'll tell you a little bit of why. Let me show you how they do it, then I'll tell you a little bit of why. So then, and I don't have it on me, I wish I would have grabbed it, but I essentially pull out a notebook that has wish lists in it. Okay, and I just quickly show the customer by flipping through pages. I don't keep it on a page long enough where they can actually see the deal that I gave to those past customers. I just flip through it fast enough, slow enough where they can see items written down with a little bit of pricing, but I show them examples of wish lists. If you don't have examples of wish lists, you don't want to make it up. I had a guy ask me, so should I just like make some fake wish lists so I can, you don't need to do that. I get the concept, but it's not necessary. Just start making wish lists, and then once you have real ones, then you can show those next customers. Okay, so once you have them though, I just flip through. Yeah, most of my customers, they just make what's called a wish list. It's like if Cutco were free list, and if people just started handing you free pieces of Cutco, what would you willingly accept? Like, yeah, I'll take that, and sure, I'll take that too. Yeah, I'd love to have that. Yeah, I think I could use that. And I actually do that with the customer. So yeah, it's like if Cutco or free list, if people started handing you free pieces of Cutco, what would you willingly accept? Willingly accept means you don't know that you want it yet. I don't say, what would you be interested in? Because interest usually means there's a preconception of something they know they want. I don't use interested. I said, if people start handing you free pieces of Cutco, what would you willingly accept? Because that opens their mind to things they might not know they want until they see it. Yeah, I'll take that. Sure, I'll take that. Yeah, I'd like to have that too. Yeah, why not? I'll have that too. Okay. Free, if it's a Cutco free list, people saying free piece of Cutco, what would you willingly accept? As you make the list, you don't have to worry about asking, how much is that piece? Or how much is that? Or how much is that? Because at the end of the list, when I'm done sharpening, I'll price out everything individually so you know what it costs. That's a key phrase too. So as you're making the list, You don't have to worry about how much is it. You don't have to ask me how much is this piece or how much is that or how much is that. Because at the end of the list, I'll price out everything individually for you anyways when I'm done with the sharpening. So you'll know what everything costs. That phrasing keeps people from, when they're going through the book, asking you, how much is that? And you're like, oh yeah, that Hardy slicer, that's 140. You're like, oh, I don't know about that one. Put that on the list. Right? So that prevents that. Okay. So you don't have to worry about asking how much is this, how much is that, how much is this, how much is that. At the end of the list, I'll price out everything individually anyways for you, and that way you'll know the costs when I'm done with the sharpening. Some people, they like to pick out a bunch of individual items. Some people just want to upgrade to the next biggest set or to the complete set. And so if that's the case, some people write down stuff individually. Some people just write upgrade to the complete set, and they'll show you what that looks like and how we can upgrade you. Or, add cookware set or the flatware set. So whichever route you prefer works for me. Let's see here. So let me say that. Let me say that. So then at the end of the list, I'll tell you what everything normally costs. And this is the whole reason why my customers do it. And then at this point, you're going to mention the why they're going to buy from you. Let me explain. So at some point in my career, I use the whole, because I'm an assistant manager in one of the top offices in the company, I'm able to get huge discounts for my customers, especially on these sharpening appointments. So at one point in my career, that was the reason why they should buy from me that day, right? So now that I show them, yeah, so that's what you're going to do. And then what I'll do is at the end of the sharpening, I'll tell you what the price normally would be. And then that's the whole reason why a lot of the customers do wind up buying from me on my appointments. See, I'm one of the top assistant managers in one of the top offices in the entire country. And what that means for you is access to even bigger discounts. All right, that was one point in my career. Another point, when I finished number 10 in the nation, I was simply, last year I finished 10th in the nation. And because I produced so much, what that means for you is I'm able to get you bigger discounts. Now I simply say, I'm a Hall of Fame member with the company. As a Hall of Fame member, what that means for you is even bigger discounts. Because there's some truth to that. As you advance and you grow and you produce bigger volume, Cutco's a little more okay with you giving a little more of a discount, right? Because you're producing more volume, right? So I can probably give a little bit better of a deal than where you guys are at right now, because as a Hall of Famer, and it was shipped over $1 million in personal sales, right? So you want to be truthful though, right? You don't want to say, I'm a 10-time national champion, and that's why I get to, right? Honor where you're at. And honor the truth in where you're at, right? So for most of you, it'd be something along the lines of, I'm one of the top reps, one of the top offices in the company. Or I'm one of the top assistant managers, one of the top offices in the company. What that means for you are significantly bigger discounts, like ridiculously big discounts. And so I'll cover what everything costs, and then I'll tell you the huge discount I'm able to give you today. So I'm gonna get back to sharpening. Here's where you can start. And then you put the blue book in front of them. Now my blue book's super old and probably disorganized because I've been obviously mainly coaching and speaking. All right. But you would flip it through to the first place you're going to go to is you're going to open them up to the double D-edge page. The Forever Guarantee page. And by the way, just to recap, yeah, it looks old, right? It's like, whoa, what is that?
Right.
So just to recap, just to remind you, you have a forever guarantee. That's why I'm here sharpening your knives for free, right? And just want you to remember, because of our guarantee, everything you've had so far, you're gonna be able to use every day for the rest of your life and never have to buy again. You always get free service. That also goes for anything else you decide to get today. And it also goes for anything that you decide to get for gifts for others. So what's really cool about giving the gift of Cutco is you're gonna give them something that's very high quality. They're gonna use every day for the rest of their life. And because of the guarantee, even if they break it, they'll never have to buy it. So just as a reminder, what your guarantee means is you own the best knives on the planet for the rest of your life, and you'll never have to buy knives again. And whatever you get today, same thing. And that also applies to our cookware and our forks and our spoons and our flatware and everything else we make. All right. Now, as far as where you can start from there, and then at that point, do you guys still use an ultimate trifold?
Yeah.
Okay. This is then where I have them start here. So then I flip to this page, and I'm like, all right, so this is the complete set. This is simply going to show a lot of what you don't have already. And it's also going to, if someone wants to upgrade, this would be the set that we upgrade them to the complete set. Now, based on their energy, sometimes you can tell people are like leaning in, like, oh, wow, that looks cool. Sometimes their energy is like, whoa, there's no way I would ever have that many knives on my counter. Oh my gosh, I could never do that, right? So depending on their energy, if they can see there's like a little bit of a hesitancy when I pull this page out, and they're like, oh my gosh, I could never have that many knives. I'm like, by the way, this doesn't mean you have to get the complete set. We're just going to use this part of the page because it's going to show you a lot of the pieces you don't have yet. You guys get that? If there isn't that hesitancy, I don't necessarily say that line. You guys keeping up with me so far? I know I'm going a little fast for you to write, but hopefully the video will cover that. And if not, I'll come back and do this again. Okay. All right. So then I show them what they have already. Yeah, you've got the homemaker set. This is what you got so far. And then these are the pieces that you don't own yet. And at some point, you can ask me questions about any of these, but there are at some points when I notice you're getting to a certain piece, I'm probably going to pull it out and show you, especially the 4 most popular pieces for people who already have Cutco. Especially the 4 most popular pieces for people who already have Cutco. So when we get to that point, I'll make sure to show them to you. So yeah, go ahead and flip through. You go in, and now there's 2 different philosophies here on whether you write the wish list or with a customer. I have the customer write the wish list because I feel like it gives them more ownership when they're putting it in their words. Okay, some people feel like they want more control where they're writing the wish list, whatever you feel comfortable with. I just have them do it. All right, so I give them the notebook. I put their name up top, Judy's wish list. Okay, if they're missing like a table knife, right? Like if there's a piece missing that I know they're probably gonna want to replace, like, by the way, I know you have that missing table knife. I'll go ahead and start your list. I'll write missing table knife, so we get that on there. But for the rest, I'm gonna have you just go ahead and write it down. So here you go. Take your time, have fun with it. Like I said, you don't have to buy a thing. This is just a fun, cool way for you to check out some of the new stuff while I'm doing the sharpening. Like I say, you don't have to buy anything. This is just a fun, cool way for you to check out the new stuff while I'm doing the sharpening. So it's making a very low barrier of entry, very easy, very comfortable, no obligation, just a fun, cool way to check out the new stuff. Just getting them to consider that. All right, once you flip through this page, once you go through these knives, what you'll go to next, Miss Jones, is our starter sets. These are really great gift sets. We've got something called the Kids Program. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that later, but these are fantastic gift sets. And then from here, you can flip through here. We're also gonna have our flatware. I'll tell you a little bit about our flatware here in a little bit. Awesome stuff, all same guaranteed forever. And then we also have our cookware, which you can check out as well too.
Is that a thing still?
Oh no, yeah. So if I were showing a customer, I'd be like, this is retro, it's not even existing anymore. All right, so then from there, you can check out our cookware. And then from there, you can kind of flip through, and there's also gonna be a lot of the gift sets as well. And we're also gonna have a lot of the hunting and fishing and barbecue, garden tool stuff in the back too. So yeah, so go ahead and start here, Miss Jones. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I said, at some points, I'll probably be showing you a few pieces as we get to them as well too, and I'm gonna get back to sharpening. So then bam, I hand in the notebook, hand in the pen, hand in the blue book. I go back to doing what I'm there to do, sharpen. Right? Service, sharpen, either way, right? So then at some point, I'm just kind of like, and then when I notice when they get to a certain knife, for example, like when they get to this page, I'm like, by the way, do you guys cut raw meats from time to time? Do you guys ever cut raw meats from time to time? And notice how I'm asking that question. I'm not asking, do you guys cut raw meats every second, every minute, every hour of every day of your entire life? Because that'll be a no. But if you ask, do you guys sometimes cut raw meats from time to time? Or do you guys occasionally cut raw meats every once in a while? Those are a lot easier to say yes to, right? So then we're on the boning knife, and I'm like, awesome. Well, let me show you the 4th most popular piece for people who already have Cutco. Now, I haven't pulled out my knives in quite a while, so it's gonna maybe do a little bit of digging here. Normally, if I was going to an appointment, this would be a little more prepared, yeah. And if we wanted to do this later in the summer, I could be even more prepared for this with you guys, but with me as being as busy and traveling as much as I am, it would have made sense to do it later in the summer. But at the same time, we wanted to get you guys this content earlier in the summer. So that's why we're doing the not so perfect version of this, but better now than later. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Also, I'm really old school. And I've got the red velvet from like, I don't know, 08 or something probably, or longer. So ideally you'd have something a little better for this, but it's not my main focus. My main focus is coaching and speaking, right? So this is the boning knife. This is the best raw meat knife that we make. So this is great for debones, removing skin. By the way, guys, I don't tell the customer this, but I've never butterflied. What's up, Roman? I've never butterflied a chicken breast in my life, ever. I don't cook. I still don't cook. You think I would 18 years later of having Cutco? I destroy pans and food. So I have other people cook for me. So, but yeah, man, so you can debone, remove, I do this, like you debone, remove skin, butterfly chicken breast, pork chop steak. I've never done this in my life, but when I do this, customer goes, oh yeah. So evidently I'm doing something right when I do this, because evidently that must be how you do it. Because the response I'm getting from customers is like, oh yeah, that'd be good to know. Yeah, so this is the best raw meat knife that we make. It's also a beautiful knife. And then I hand the knife to the customer. Right? They're not boning anything, not doing anything with the knife, but I still want them to have the tangible feel. Does that make sense? If you don't have the knife, you do this. Yeah, it's our boning knife. It's so great. It's the best raw meat knife that we make. It's kind of like your trimmer, but a little bit longer and with a straight edge, because that straight edge is going to be a little bit better for your raw meats. Okay? And then you just do like imaginary boning knife. You can debone, remove skin, butterfly chicken breast, pork chop steaks. Just do that. Yeah, I can see myself doing it. It'd be great to have. Yeah, so ideally, get this. If you don't have this, do this. You guys got it?
Both.
All right. So yeah, so that's our boning knife, the best raw meat knife they make. That's the 4th most popular piece for people who have Cutco. So check that. And I hand it to them. I'm like, yeah, it's a beautiful knife too.
Do you sharpen this with that one?
You would do it with this one, yeah. Cool. All right, so I do that. Yeah, just wanted to point that out real quick while you're on that page. I'm gonna go back to sharpening. And I go back to sharpening, let them check it out. I usually say something like, if I could see even the slightest of like, oh yeah, like the slightest, like, oh, I can do that. And then I'm like, yeah, you'll probably definitely want to put that on your page. And I do that on purpose. Probably definitely is not usually words you'd use in the same sentence, but I want to make it certain without being aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably definitely want to put that on the page. Right? There's a little subtlety there where it's certain, but I'm not like, you need to put that on the page. Right? Like you probably definitely want to put that on the page.
Probably definitely.
Right? There's not a lot of times you can use that phrasing, but in that moment, I feel like it's good. All right. So then I go back to sharpening, blah, 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 sharpening. Then what I do is at some point, I pull out the chef knife and I go to sharpen the chef knife a little bit. And then I do this. I'm like, is there any way, now Ms. Jones, I'm not faulting you at all, because we see this all the time. But is there any way that either you or maybe someone else has been using this on meats? And a lot of times it'll be like, either they'll confess, like, oh yeah, we use it on meats, or I don't know, maybe, or I don't think so. And if they go with the I don't think so, it's like, yeah, I'm sure you didn't, but is there a chance that maybe someone did, maybe your husband or something, like, might have used this on meats? The reason we see this all the time is because a lot of times when customers get this knife, they're like, big knife, meat knife. And then they go and cut up some meats with it. And I literally do that with the customer. Big knife, meat knife. And they go to cut meats with it. And the problem with it is it's such a thin, delicate blade. It's such a thin, delicate blade because it's designed for dicing, chopping, and mincing only. And if you had too thick of a blade, you'd be mushing instead of mincing. So you have a very thin, delicate blade for dicing, chopping, and mincing only. Very thin, delicate blade for dicing, chopping, and mincing only. Because if you had too thick of a blade, you'd be mushing instead of mincing. So what happens is when you use this knife on meats, that delicate blade rolls over very easily. And you might have noticed it was never quite the same after that. So what Cutco did is when they saw that happening so much, they decided they were going to make a knife that's like the chef knife, like a chopper knife, but more for heavier duty stuff, more heavy duty meats. And that's why they came up with the 3rd most popular piece for people who already have Cutco. And the 3rd most popular piece for people who already have Cutco is called the Hardy Slicer. Looks kind of like the chopper, right, Miss Jones? But look how much thicker that blade is. It's got a significantly thicker blade. That's what I do with the customer. I show them. Looks kind of like the chopper, right? But look how much thicker that blade is. Significantly thicker blade. And it's got the double D edge, the serrated looking, stay sharp edge. And what's cool about this is the shape and the weight do all the work for you. The shape and the weight do all the work for you. What's cool is you can start with the tip and you can push through the cut. And when you push, you've got a lot more leverage than when you pull. So if you're going through like whole chicken or fish, you can go through thin bone, no problem. Pepperoni, sausage, deer meat, venison, steaks, boudin, anything with the spaghetti squash, acorn squash, butternut squash, pineapple, pumpkin, watermelon, cantaloupe, anything with a tough shell or rind, you can pierce the rind and push right through it. You can take hamburger meat out of the freezer, let it thaw for about 5-10 minutes, and we'll still partially frozen. You can cut off the meat that you're actually going to use, put the rest back in the freezer so you're not wasting any. And then with what's left over, you can actually cut up your patties. And because they're partially frozen, they stay intact. So they're a lot easier to grill or throw on the stove or throw on the grill. A lot easier to cook that way. So I'm going to show you, Miss Jones, just so you have a feel for how good this is. And then I pull out some more leather. All right. Now, I don't know if this is the kind of leather you guys use. I get this leather from Hobby Lobby. Not that you have to buy your own leather, all right? But it's thicker. Yeah. And so I'll show you. So Mr. Jones, just to give a quick feel, go and take the Hardy slicer. All right. And this is what I do with the customers. All right. Got a good grip on it. Okay. I'm just going to put the tip on top. So I guide them. You're going to put the tip on top and then just push towards me while pushing down. Pretty easy, right? Yeah, and even someone that sells Cutco is like, dang, that was really easy, right? Like you knew it was going to be awesome, and it's that much more awesome. And by the way, Mr. Jones, that knife, you can see it's from 2011. It's never been sharpened. It's been through mountains of leather. So as sharp as your other knives stay sharp, what's really nice about having the Hardy slicer is not only is that going to stay sharper even longer because it's heavier duty, but it's also going to keep all your other Cutco knives sharper longer because they're not having to do the tougher jobs that the Hardy slicer can do. You guys catch what I just said there? Right? So what's nice about the Hardy slicer is not only is it going to stay sharper longer because it's heavier duty, but it's also going to keep all your other Cutco knives sharper longer because they're not having to do the heavy duty jobs that the Hardy slicer can do. You get that now?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I have the customer, even if they've cut leather already, right? They've done a leather demo at some point. That's why they have Cutco. This will amaze them. This is even easier than a table knife or the steak knife. Just glide. So you saw how easy that was, right? Like you're surprised, right? If they're a little hesitant, obviously you want to be careful. Don't be like, here, cut the leather, right? Like, you know, nice safe distance from the body. Okay, guide them to where to put the knife. Okay, and then you just push and give them directions. Just push forward while pushing down, or slice forward while pushing down. And that design allows them just to go right through.
Should you do leather still on the demo?
Do what?
Like a leather with the
Hardy slicer.
right there?
What do you think I just did?
Oh yeah.
And why do you think I just did it?
So the knife.
So then exactly. And to show you guys, this is what I do in the service call.
Do you do
For
only
sure.
leather?
Yeah. So, huh?
Do you do leather or do you do the rope too? Like,
I just do the leather for the Hardy slicer. Yeah. So
Should,
go ahead.
Like doing the table knife, should you do it with the Hardy slicer too? Like,
And then, oh, you're saying in an actual demo compared to a service call?
Yeah.
I do.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, good question. Sorry, I know I was gonna be a little hard time there. But yeah, in an actual demo, yes, we do the table knife, right? But then maybe later, if I'm showing them the specialty knives, then I'll do the Hardy slicer later. So if I'm doing very good question. If I'm doing a leather test in the demo with the table knife, I do that one first. The Hardy slicer comes later because this is a bigger wow factor. We don't want this to make the table knife not seem as good. Because the table knife's good, it just doesn't have the weight and the shape to do what this can do, right? This would be a pretty serious steak knife, right? So good question, good question. So yeah, so that's our third most popular piece. That's the Hardy slicer. If you're ever doing anything that's ever tough to cut, it's serious leather, right? Yeah. If you ever do anything that's ever tough to cut, this is definitely going to be something I recommend. And then I'm like, yeah, you'll probably want to put that one down there too, right? I kind of I go back and forth. I don't say that probably definitely every time. Like, yeah, you probably want that one on there too, right?
Especially if they already have the home anchor.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, you guys staying with me? Good so far? You keeping that leather?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, where you get it, I just get it from Hobby Lobby, and this bag was $4. Okay. All right, moving on. If not, you can still do the office leather, right?
I mean, we have tug leather too.
We need to order like new tough
Someone
leather.
gave me on my Delta right now. This is my friend's grandpa. He gave me like a whole big pile of like tough leather.
Nice. Free tough leather.
Now I know too.
All right, but do you guys see how I use the chef knife to segue into the Hardy slicer? Do you guys see that? It's pointing out something they're probably doing incorrectly with this knife, and how this can be the solution for something that's like this knife, but more of the design of what they're wanting to do. You guys get that? Okay. So then I'm like, yeah, that's the third most popular piece. And you know what, Ms. Jones, while we're at it, let me go ahead and show you the second most popular piece. Do you ever feel like this chef knife is a little too big? You ever feel like it's a little too big for chopping, maybe a little too cumbersome sometimes? Well, because of that, we had enough customers request a smaller version. And so what we have now is really, really popular. It's the second most popular piece for people who already have Cutco. It's called our Petite Santoku. It's called our Petite Santoku. It's what's really nice about this design is the shape also, again, does a lot of the work for you because the tip slopes down. It gives you a nice anchor on your cutting board. And all you do, Ms. Jones, you keep the weight on the anchor and you just lift the handle up and down while pushing the food underneath it. So it's easy to rock, easy to work with. It's not nearly as big, it's less cumbersome. And here, let me just show you an example. Do you happen to have a carrot or celery or something we can show you real quick? Okay, cool. Now, granted, I know your chef knife is in need of a little sharpening. I want you to mainly see the shape and how the feel of the knife works, not just the sharpness. Obviously, I know we need to get this one sharpened, all right? But go ahead and cut it, go ahead and chop a carrot with that. Okay, and then chop the carrot. Okay, cool. Now see how you feel, how it feels with the Santoku.
You need an extra.
I don't need it, but for the customer, yeah. You would actually have them chop. Okay. And then when they do this, 9 out of 10 customers are gonna like how this one feels.
It's smaller and lighter.
It's smaller, lighter, easier to work with. You don't need as much room in the cutting board. And I would say now, and then also say, we do make a 7-inch version. And there are times where maybe it makes sense to have the bigger blade. But for most customers, they like this version for most of the time.
Quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
What's the segue from the chef's knife to this?
So we went from the chef knife to the Hardy slicer. And then I say, and by the way, while we're talking to chopper knives, let me show you the second most popular piece for people who have Cutco. Do you ever feel like the chef knives are maybe a little too big, especially for chopping on the cutting board? Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. So that's why Cutco came out with the second most popular piece for people who have Cutco, which is the Petite Santoku. It's less cumbersome, it's easy to work with, it's a lot easier to rock and chop with. The tip gives you an anchor, you just keep the weight on the anchor, then you just lift the handle and push down while you push the food underneath. All right, and then I have them compare the two. And I preface the idea that this is obviously gonna be duller, right? We don't wanna be like, ha ha ha, she'll never know why it feels different, ha ha ha, right? No, you just, obviously this is gonna be a little more on the dull side because it needs to get sharpened. I mainly want you to feel the difference in the shape of the knife and how it works, not just how this one's sharper, of course. So you preface that. But then when they use this one, it's gonna feel that much better. Yeah, you're welcome. Look. Okay, so it's like, yeah, so that's our Petite Santoku. That's the second most popular piece for people who already have Cutco. All right, go ahead, flip through and I'll get back to sharpening. Now, what's starting to happen likely in their head right now?
Or money.
Well, what are they starting to be curious about likely?
The price.
What else? What did we just cover? I said,
What's
Here-
the first? Oh, based on the numbers, I
Oh
want
yeah,
to know
because
what's
you
the
said 3, right?
first.
I said, yeah, the 4 most popular piece. We covered number 4, number 3, number 2, right? So now we're creating curiosity, right? So yeah, I'm just going back to sharpening. So I go back to sharpening some more. And then I'm like, I noticed, Ms. Jones, that your trimmer is pretty dull, especially right up in here. You're probably getting a ton of use. This is probably like one of your favorite knives, right? Almost always are like, yeah. Yeah, and what happens is because this blade is designed like so, where it tapers right here, what happens is you use a lot of the knife right there. And this dulls a lot quicker than the rest. So what Cutco did is a couple things. They came out with a Santoku style version of this knife, which just tends to stay sharper a little longer. So a lot of people that like the trimmer, they also like this version. And this version will keep this version sharper longer too, because the tip slopes down. So you use more of the blade versus just the very tapered part. But really what I'm going to show you here too, so that's kind of introducing that. And you're going to have some people be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I could see where I could use that. That would be nice to have. Oh, that's a pretty knife, right? Just introducing it to them will spark some of their interest. But then I'm like, but let me show you the most popular piece for people already have Cutco now. The most popular piece. Now, if you ever get the catalog or the email, it'll call it a certain name that doesn't give it any justice. The catalog, the emails, they don't give this knife any justice, but this is the most popular piece for people who already have Cutco. And that is a moment, please, Ms. Jones, still digging. Wait for it, wait for it. It's a cheese knife. Now, again, in the catalogs and emails, it's just called the cheese knife. And it's amazing on cheese, but it's way more than just a cheese knife. So those catalogs and emails, they don't do it any justice. Let me show you what this is amazing for. Now, according to my customers, this is the first cheese knife that actually cuts cheese. A lot of brands make cheese knives. They don't really cut cheese. They still shred it or tear it or squish it. Okay, ours actually works on cheese, but this is also way better for a lot of other things too. Do you guys ever do potatoes, onions, apples, pears, anything like that? Anything that's kind of starchy or sticky? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, do you happen to have a potato? I never thought I'd get excited about cutting a potato, but this is gonna be pretty cool. Okay, I never thought I'd get excited about cutting a potato, but this is gonna be pretty cool. And I do say that line because I want to preface how my enthusiasm for cutting a potato is probably weird or peculiar, right? I never thought I'd get excited about cutting a potato, but this is gonna be pretty cool. If you happen to have a potato, some of you guys might take food with you. You're welcome to do that. That's gonna guarantee you have a potato. I just typically ask if they have one. There's no right or wrong, it's just you risk them not having a potato if you don't bring one with you. All right, awesome, you got a potato? Okay, cool, check this out. All right, what I'll have you do is I'll have you take your trimmer, your favorite knife, and you just set the potato horizontal, okay, like just normal. And then, all right, I want you just to either cut it in half or cut a slice like a potato chip off. And if they try to cut it in half, it'll work. It's like, yeah, you know, you could get by doing that, it works. But that, Miss Jones, is like using the handle of a screwdriver to hammer in a nail. It works. You can get by using the handle of a screwdriver to hammer a nail. But isn't it a lot safer and easier when you use a hammer on a nail? You see, knives are tools. And when you use the right tool for the right task, life is easier. Knives are tools. And you use the right tool for the right task, life is easier. So again, you can use the handle of a screwdriver to hammer in a nail. It'll work. You can get by. But isn't it a lot safer and easier when you use a hammer on a nail?
So smooth.
And then they take the knife, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna that first part is round. It's for spreadable cheese. That's not sharp right there. You're gonna start with that first tooth, and just like with a Hardy slicer, you're gonna slice forward while pushing down. Slice forward while pushing down. Slice forward while pushing down. And then they do that, it's gonna glide. It's gonna be like cutting air. They're gonna be like, oh my gosh. I know, right? Then I said I never thought I'd get excited about cutting potato and then get excited. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, you can give it a more, and some people will get potato happy. And they'll cut a lot of strips, right? So let me just back up and just mention one thing. The reason why I do that tools scenario is one of the most effective ways for human beings to learn is to relate something they don't know to something they already do know. Okay, relate something you don't know to something you already do know. Not everyone knows about the idea of using the right tool for the right job, but most people know about the idea of using the right tool for the right job. Most people know the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer. Most people have used the handle of a screwdriver to hammer in a nail. And most people know it's still a lot easier and smarter if you use a hammer for the nail. So because these are things people already know, I'm relating something they already know to something they might not have known yet, which is knives or tools, versus just grabbing whatever you grab out of the set and using that one. Does that make sense? So this opens up people's minds to not only having the right tool for the right job actually does make sense, but this opens up their minds to like why it makes sense to have these other tools they don't have yet. That makes sense? Okay? Okay. So again, yeah, you can get by doing that. That's like using the handle of a screwdriver to hammer a nail. But isn't it a lot safer and easier when you use a hammer on a nail? Yeah. So start with that first tooth, and just like with the other knife, just push forward while pushing down. Slice forward while pushing down. They're going to glide right through it. Yeah. And the reason why it works so well is because the holes keep it from sticking to the starch of a potato, sticking inside of an onion, apples, pears, anything fleshy like tomatoes, kiwi, onions. So what's really cool is this is going to be a great backup for this guy. They're both good for tomatoes, lemons, limes. However, they don't completely duplicate, meaning this one's going to be good for trimming fats off meats. This guy, not so much. This is going to be better for cheeses and starchies and things that are sticky. This, not so much. So they're good, but they're both great for tomatoes, lemons, limes. But there's going to be the ones that things that this one's better for, and things that this better for. Either way, they can be good backups to one another. So if one's in the dishwasher, you can grab this guy. So this is the most popular piece for people who have Cutco. I highly recommend this one as well too. Did you like that one? Pretty cool, right? Did you like that one? Pretty cool, right? Notice, did you like that one? Pretty cool, right? That's reinforcing where they can agree. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's awesome. I definitely want that. Okay, cool. So that's the first most popular piece. All right, carry on. We'll go back to sharpening. By the way, do you have our pots and pans? I can polish those up. Obviously, I can't sharpen your pots and pans, but if you got our pots and pans, I can polish those up for you. Oh, you didn't know we have pots and pans? What? If you love our knives, you're gonna love our cookware. And then you go through, I won't have time to go through it now, but you guys have access to learning a little bit about your cookware?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so again, that's where you insert what you share about cookware. Okay. And then same thing with flatware, right? And do you have our forks and spoons? Also guaranteed forever. Again, I can't sharpen your spoon. You probably don't want me to sharpen your spoon, but I can polish it up for you if you'd like. If you got our forks and spoons. I don't have our forks and spoons yet. Okay, let me show you that too. All right, and you enthusiastically show them that. Yeah, our flatware is amazing. You use it maybe even more than your knives. It'll probably be the thing you use most often for the rest of your life compared to anything else in your home. More than you watch your TV, more than you drive your car, more than you use your washing machine. You're gonna be using these forks and spoons every day for the rest of your life. We'll never have to buy them again. They're our forever flatware. Even if you drop down to the garbage disposal, pull out whatever chunk of spoon you have left, you get a new one free. Can't replace your garbage disposal. We can't replace that spoon for free. All right, and you guys have access to more flatware information, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, for those that don't, get with the people that know that you have access to this, right? So you'll insert then more about the flatware there. Okay, then I'm still sharpening, Usually at some point, oh, let me show you the kids program. So I showed them the flour, showed them the cookware, get them interested. Yeah, if you even think about considering the idea of having pots and pans you'll never have to buy again that are always the best, if you're even considering the idea of having forks and spoons that are always gonna be the best you'll never have to spend money on again, go ahead and put those down as well too. All right, and then let me show you what's called our kids program. This is awesome, this This is exclusive to Cutco owners who are kids, this is exclusive to Cutco owners who have kids who are old enough to be Cutco owners. And it's an opportunity for you to help them get Cutco instead of having to wait on you to inherit them. So instead of having to wait on you to inherit them, this is a chance to help them get Cutco, get started with Cutco, kind of pass the legacy of Cutco down to them. And the idea is you're just starting them off with something small, and what they want to add on can be up to them from there on. And it's just a really cool way where we can give massive discounts for Cutco owners who want to get their kids started with Cutco. So these are some of the real popular sets for that. All right, I can even do a little bit of customizing if you want, but if we do that, it's basically like getting them individual pieces and an individual block, and then I can just discount by giving some of those pieces for free. Okay, so yeah. And then how many kids do you guys have who are kind of who are kind of maybe even be in the range of like starting to cook or do some cooking in their life? And let's say they have like, oh, we've got 3 kids. Okay, cool. Well, for 3 kids, I can use a huge discount. If you want to add even just some of the smaller starter sets, like the Studio or the Essentials. Even if you just want to start with one of the smaller starter sets, I can give you a huge discount if you decide to get those for your kids today as well too. And you can get them now and then give them as Christmas gifts. And by the way, I understand that this might be a little more expensive than a typical Christmas gift that you might give them, but it's not like you're giving them this kind of Christmas gift every Christmas. You give it to them one Christmas. And what's cool is this is the only Christmas gift you're gonna give them. They're gonna have every Christmas for the rest of their life. This is the only Christmas gift you're ever gonna give them this Christmas that they're gonna have every Christmas for the rest of their life. Other things like electronics, like iPads and whatnot, they're obsolete in a couple years. The newer improved iPad has come out by then, and they're probably getting that one, and they've already forgotten the one that you gave them 2 years ago. Whereas this, they're always going to be using these knives every day for the rest of their life. So yeah, so that's our kids program. And then we also have smaller gift sets. Again, we got some Christmas in July going on here, right? So if you wanted to even just get gifts, you don't have to give them out now. You can get them now at a huge discount, and you put them in a closet, and when Christmas comes, you're already ready already. So there's those. Also, we got some amazing gadgets. Do you guys have our gadgets? Oh my gosh, these things are amazing. And you build up the peeler, right? You build up the ice cream scoop. You build up the pizza cutter. You guys know how to do these things?
The ice cream scoop when I ice, amazing.
Amazing, right? Melts it right away. Yeah, it melts right into the ice cream.
How many do you want?
Yeah. Pizza cutter. Do you ever get cheese stuck in the wheel? Yeah, that opens up for easy cleaning. Or if zombies attack, you got a ninja star right then and there in case the apocalypse happens while making pizza. Right? Our kitchen tools, amazing stuff. So you just go through, right? You're making sure you're still sharpening while still staying kind of connected. All right, yeah, pocket knives, hunting knives, fishing knives, and then ideally with some rapport, you're gonna getting a feel for like, do they do these kinds of things, right? Awesome, you do some fishing. Do your kids do some fishing too? Awesome, would it make sense to maybe get some of them some fishing knives as well? Very cool, yeah, whatever you put on, I'm gonna be able to discount, so just feel free to write it down. Same thing with garden tools. Okay, now usually at some point, usually when I can tell they're close to the end of the book, I usually kind of interject before they finish. And this is what I interject with. Hey, do you mind if I just really quickly tell you some of the things I'm working towards, some of my goals, some of the reasons I'm working so hard? So at this point, it's been all about them, all about me sharpening knives. And even the whole reason why I'm showing them Cutco is because it's all about them getting a better discount, right? So far, it's all about them for a good portion, a good chunk of the service call so far. I haven't brought up any of my goals. So that's what's different about a demo. In a demo, it's okay to bring up your goals early on, because they're primarily seeing you just to help you. Here, we're there primarily to help them. And now that we've helped them quite a bit, now is when we bring up our goals. So before they finish, when there's a few pages left and they can tell they're still writing a few things down, that's when I'm like, hey, by the way, it's a good transition line. By the way, do you mind if I just really quick share with you some of my goals, some of the reasons I'm working so hard? Awesome, I appreciate it. And there's essentially 4 steps to goal sharing. So first step is paint the picture. Ms. Jones, I'm so grateful that I get to come out and do these appointments for my customers. One of the reasons I'm so grateful is that we get to attend this conference coming up in a few weeks. It's called our summer conference. It's like the Super Bowl of the summer for our company. And all these offices from all over, all the offices from all over Texas and all the reps from all over Texas, we're gonna meet at this conference in Georgetown. And at the conference, there's gonna be high-level people. We're gonna learn a lot of stuff. We're gonna be growing a lot. We're gonna have a lot of fun. But also what's really cool at the conference is they have a sales competition where they hand out trophies on stage in front of everyone to whoever sells the most the 2 or 3 weeks before the conference. And so right now, I'm getting to compete with all the other 1,000+ sales reps all over the state right now. And whoever is going to sell the most, we're going to show up and we're going to give a report. And if you win, like not only get trophies, but you get cool things. You get to go out on a boat. It's going to be a lot of fun. I get to shake the vice president's hand. Our region manager, he's like a vice president, basically a region executive. I get to shake his hand. I get to hold up the trophy in front of all of my peers who I competed with. It's going to be really cool. I mean, I didn't really win much growing up. I didn't get a chance to win a lot of things growing up. This is my chance to redeem myself, right? And I get a chance to win here. It's kind of like the Academy Awards or the ESPYs or the NBA Awards, right? Like you're in front of all your peers and you get to be celebrated and recognized in front of all your peers. It's really cool. So I'm really excited. I'm super excited to go after it. My goal for that push, by the way, I'm going after $20,000. Going after $20,000 in a couple weeks. Step 2, excitement and nervous. Emotional roller coaster, step 2. Yeah, I'm going after $20,000. I'm so excited. This is the biggest thing I've ever gone after, the biggest goal I've ever gone after, the hardest I've ever worked. I'm giving it my all, Ms. Jones. I really want to go after it. I'm super excited. And honestly, I'll let you know, I'm a little nervous because none of this is guaranteed. I'm working my butt off. I'm working the hardest I've ever worked going after something I've never gone after before. And there's no promises. There's no promises. So that's kind of like the yay. emotional roller coaster. Step three is commitment. Yeah, so there's no guarantee. But you know what? I'm giving it my all. I'm totally committed. I'm all in. I'm giving it all I got to the very end. I'm laying it all on the field. I'm laying it all on the court. I'm giving it everything I've got to the very end, Miss Jones, because I'm gonna do everything I can to hit my goal. I'm not promised that goal, but I'm gonna do everything in my power. And I know that at the end of the competition, when the clock strikes 0, I'm gonna be able to lay my head down at night, feeling good about what I gave, no matter what happens. I'm gonna be able to lay my head down at night, feeling good about what I gave, no matter what happens. Step 4, tie-in. Step 4. So, like I said before, you don't have to buy a single thing. I'm happy just to come out and sharpen your knives. And if you're happy with the service, I'm gonna leave here a happy camper. But I will say that if you like what I'm able to put together, the package I'm able to put together for you today, if you're liking what you're seeing, and you like the deal I'm able to give you, and it's able to fit in your budget, I just ask that you consider getting it today, because it really helped me with my push. Obviously, of course, I want you to get Cutco for you, not for me. But I just wanted to share this just so you know how much I appreciate it and how much it helps me too. So as you can see, I'm doing a lot more than just trying to rid the world of bad knives. I have a lot of meaning and purpose behind what I do. Thank you for even letting me share. I'm gonna get back to finishing sharpening. You can get back to checking out the rest of the blue book, see what else you haven't seen yet, and then we'll go from there. So I do that. And here's the thing, guys. We want customers to buy for themselves, yes. And I don't know about you guys, but like if I'm buying something and I also find out there's like some charity or something that it's supporting a bigger picture, or if I like the person that's selling it and I'm figuring out like this is gonna help the person, well, I'm gonna be that much more excited to buy, because I know I'm buying for me and I know it's gonna be benefiting someone else. Does that make sense? So ultimately, yes, customers should buy for themselves, but sometimes them buying for themselves is just because we like helping people. And I'm at an age now where like I get to experience this on the customer side of things, where I have the income to do this, where like sometimes I'll just buy something because I like the person and I want to help them. And that's for me too, because that makes me feel good. Does that make sense? So yes, ultimately we want them to be buying for themselves, and if they know it's helping you and you do it and you explain that in a way that's comfortable for them to receive, they're gonna be that much more excited to buy even more because they also know they're helping you too. Cool? So I share the goals that way, go back to sharpening, and then we wrap up. Let's say I'm done with the sharpening. If there's anything I feel like I couldn't put a good edge on, I'll let the customer know. You see how worn this teeth is? Yeah, I'm not faulting you. It's just the knife you use most often because of the design, right? That's what we covered, the trim, Santoku trimmer and the cheese knife. Well, Ms. Jones, like I said, I'm really big on service, and I just can't quite get that sharpened the way I think you deserve. So I'm gonna recommend that we send this off. So if we just go on Cutco.com, click on sharpening repair, Cutco.com, click on sharpening repair, there's a little online form you fill out. All right, it gives you something you can print, or you can just write down on a piece of paper what we're sending off and your return address on that piece of paper. Okay. It looks here on Cutco.com, it looks like there's a return shipping cost for the number of knives we're sending off. There's a return shipping cost of $8. I haven't looked in a while. Maybe it's 8, maybe it's 9.
8, 9, and 13.
Okay, thank you. So there's a return shipping cost here of $9. So we're just gonna write a check for $9. You're gonna put that in with the box. Okay, to box these up, a lot of people just use cereal boxes. They just cut up some cereal boxes and they fold them up over the blades and they take those cereal boxes. And that's their sheath, their little makeshift sheath if the customer doesn't have a sheath. All right, and I can help you do that, by the way. If you want to help you cut up some cereal boxes, all right, let's just make sure we send this off. It's only going to be about a 2 to 3 week turnaround time. I know it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm without my knife, but it's going to come back literally like new or literally brand new if they can't make it like new, and it'll be totally free. It'll be so worth it. It'll be like getting brand new knives for free 10 years later. Okay, so I'm going to recommend that we send these off. These I was able to sharpen. You got these. I'm going to recommend you rinse those off. These I want to make sure that we get them to the quality that you deserve. So let's go ahead and send these off. Cool. Awesome. And then you just help them box it up if they want help. A lot of customers are like, oh, we got it. Maybe you offer, right? And then you make sure they write the note where it's like, hi, Olean, I'm sending in this knife, and this knife. Please resharpen or replace for free. Here's my return address. And they put that in there with a check for $9 made out to Cutco. And they close up the box. And then,
do we check?
pardon me?
Debit card.
I guess they could write their debit card on. I usually just have them do check. Yeah.
It feels like that'd be more comfortable for them.
Yeah. Than cash or writing card numbers on the piece of paper. So they can also always maybe call Cutco and take over the payment over the phone if they want to do a card. Cool. So then we do that. We get the service taken care of. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see your wish list. Let me see the magic I can work out here for you real quick. So then I take the wish list and I'm like, okay, cool. So I add it all up. I'm like, so normally it'd be $2,000 for everything on your list. Okay, normally it'd be $2,000 for everything on your list. All right, now let me show you the discount that I'm able to do. Okay, this is where the magic happens. All right, now it takes me a moment to do the math. The only reason why that is because I don't believe in haggling. My philosophy with haggling is, well, I would offer a price. And if that price didn't work, then magically I have a better price. I don't necessarily think that's the most ethical route. So I'm going to double check my math a couple times just to make sure I'm giving you the best price the first time. Is that cool with you? And they're always like, oh yeah, I appreciate that. Awesome. So let me just do that. And by the way, what most people do while I'm doing this, while I'm figuring out the math on this, I get paid each time I show Cutco to people, but I can only show people I've been personally recommended to. So I know you've had Cutco for so long and you love them, you know how awesome they are. I'm sure you can probably imagine that there's some friends, family members, people that you know that would also love benefiting or love the benefits of having Cutco as well too. So if you know anyone who maybe doesn't have Cutco, even if you're not sure, maybe write them down. If they do have Cutco, I can go out and do the free sharpening for them too. If you know they have Cutco, you can write them down. I can make sure I go do the sharpening for them. Or if you think maybe they don't, I've just come out and go do the presentation like you guys saw the first time you got your Cutco knives. I'm not pressure. I'm not pushy. I'm just going to show it to them. I'm going to let them decide if they like it because I think everyone deserves the right to change. I think everyone deserves the right to see it for themselves so they can decide if it's right for them. Because no one really knows that they're going to get Cutco until they see it for themselves. And I believe that everyone deserves the right to see it for themselves so they can decide if it's right for them. So if you can just jot down, 200 to 500 people, that'd be I'm just kidding. 205. Most people just fill the page or at least get to 10 or 20. Cool. Most people use your cell phone instead of having to remember the names and numbers. If you want to do that, you can take care of that while I'm figuring out the math. So then the customer is working on that with their notebook and you're working in your notebook. And it makes them feel that much more comfortable. Yes.
See if it's typed up.
Sort of. I'm going to have to look and see. I have an email that I can kind of send to you guys. And we also have this recorded, fortunately. So you guys get the essence of how I do that?
Yes.
Okay. So then they're doing that. I don't rush them. Okay. My math is going to take longer if they're taking longer. Right. So just take your time. I'm just going to triple check, quintuples check. Take your time. And then when they feel good about where, and you feel good about where they're at, then you can present. Okay, here we go. I figured it out. And the whole time they're not seeing the pricing. I've shown them once what it would be normally be $2,000. Let me show you this where the magic can happen. Then I bring it back. They're not seeing the pricing. Okay, I'm doing the math, calculating in my calculator. They're writing down recs. When they're done, I'm done. Okay, cool, awesome. All right, here we go. Drum roll. Some customers will drum roll. Some customers will look. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm just kidding, you don't drum roll. So if they don't drum roll, I'm just kidding, you don't drum roll. Now, as a Cutco owner, you probably know that Cutco hardly ever goes on sale. When we do go on sale, it's usually seasonal, like a Christmas catalog or an email to past customers. It's only select items in that catalog or email, and typically the most ever is 22% off. And that's usually, only if you buy like a kitchen or, the complete set. All right. Well, like I said earlier, since I'm one of the top reps, one of the top company, or one of the top reps in one of the top offices in the entire company, I'm able to do even bigger discounts for you guys. So this is what I was able to come up with you for today. Instead of 22% off, I'm able to give you 25% off. 25% off. So that saves you. Let me see if I can just get a piece of paper so you guys can see what's on here. Okay, so normally I'd say I'd have everything written out, all the items individually. Okay, items individually. Then I say normal 2,000. Okay, so that's what I show them at first. Yeah, normally be 2,000. Let me show you what the magic is I can work out. While they do the recs, I'm figuring out the math. Okay, and then I have this all written out before I present it. So say 500, 5% off.
off.
Why? It's like giving like 300. Or no?
It depends on the size of the order, right?
5% of
You-
variance.
Right. So then I'm just going to do easy math here. Let's just say it's this per month. You're going to figure out the monthly payment before you present this to them.
Plus the like the app.
Yeah. So you just do the total plus the admin fee, you do the fit plus tax divided by 5. So you're going to have that already written out.
You do 2-day shipping.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This example will be without 2-day shipping. Okay, so remember I showed them the 2,000, then I came back to figuring out the math. I'm like, okay, I got to figure it out. Drum roll. Just getting at the drum roll. If you, as Cutco owners, you probably know Cutco hardly ever goes on sale. When it does go on sale, it's usually seasonal, like a Christmas catalog or an email. Select items in that catalog. The most ever is 22% off, and that's usually if you get like the whole kitchen, or if you get like the complete set. Well, today, because like I said, I'm one of the top reps, one of the top assistant managers, and one of the top offices in the company, I'm going to do even bigger discounts. So today, what I can offer you guys is this. Today, I can give you 25% off. That saves you $500. So all you're looking at is just $1,500 plus tax. Now, some people pay in full, which is totally fine. What most people do, and really what I recommend, especially with, and then I insert whatever's going on, right? So it's like, if it's the middle of summer, I'll say, now some people pay in full, which is totally fine. And I say that because every once in a while you have someone who's offended that you offer them payment plans. Like, oh, I don't need to finance my knives, I can pay in full, right? It's also creating social proof that there are people that are paying in full for this amount of knives. So it handles both of those things. Now, some people pay in full, which is totally fine. What most people do, though, really what I recommend, especially with summer vacations going on, or you might say, especially with school coming up and school supplies coming up, are the interest-free payments, because they're completely interest-free. All it is total plus $12 admin fee plus tax divided by 5. So all you're looking at is just $350 a month, and that's only for 5 months. The way this works, by the way, we don't have a Cutco card, so we don't finance, check credit, or anything like that. Just put on your debit or credit card. That first payment comes out on Monday. Now, that's if you enter roll. If you're going to enter it that night, you say your first payment comes out tonight. And in 30-day increments, it comes out 4 more times, so a total of 5. So I'm going to say that again. It's just total plus tax plus $12 admin fee divided by 5. So all you're looking at is just $350 a month, and that's only for 5 months. The way this works, by the way, we don't have a Cutco card, so we don't finance or check credit. Just put on your debit or credit card. That first payment comes out this evening, and in 30-day increments, it comes out 4 more times for a total of 5. But you get your stuff within a week from today. Then from the time it arrives, you have that 15-day unconditional money back guarantee. From the time it arrives, you have that 15-day unconditional money back guarantee. So you have half a month to try out the new stuff, risk-free. If they don't blow you away like they're the best thing you've ever bought for your kitchen, you send it back for a full refund, and they just credit you back the $350. So that gives you the entire list, everything we've covered for you today that you're going to have every day for the rest of your life. We'll never have to buy again. And if there's a husband and wife are together and I can tell there's a little bit of a hesitancy, I'll say, hey, why don't you guys take a minute to talk about it? I'm just going to go use the restroom real quick if you don't mind. Is that cool? And then I excuse myself so I'm not giving them the pressure of hovering over them. And I create a more comfortable environment where they can talk amongst themselves. If I don't notice that hesitancy, then I'll just sit and wait for their answer. Okay, and you'll get better and better at doing that, reading the customer. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
And then most of the time they say yes. If they say no, okay, cool, no problem. We don't have to go with the whole list today. If you were to take off the cookware or the flatware, which would you take off for now? And then they take that off and you're like, okay, cool, that would only be blank. Right? Oh, okay, that's still too much. Hey, no problem. What if we were just to upgrade you to the signature set? where we just put you in a little bit bigger block and we get you these pieces that you really liked. That would normally be this, then I can do it for this amount. Do you guys see how to do the drop down? There's that. Another route you can do, just another side option if you'd like to do this, totally your call. You can do exactly what I just did. Or before you present them this, you can have like options presented. Like you can do a quadrant on the page. You can do like a quadrant. And upper left, you can be like, if you got everything, normally it'd be this amount, and this is what I could do. Quadrant B would be like, if you got everything but the flatware, it would be this amount, and this is what I could do. Option C would be, if you got everything but the cookware. Option A, or it would normally be this is what I can do. And option D would be, if you didn't get the flatware and cookware and you only upgraded the knives. Some people like doing it, it's totally your call. Some people like presenting that, because then the customer is like, which one do you want? And sometimes they might just go with the smaller one, but still that's easier than no. That's better than no. It's like, I want this or this versus yes or no. Do you guys get that?
Yes.
So really whatever you prefer. People have different preferences there, whatever you prefer. Okay, I typically just show them the one option first, and if it doesn't work for them, then I drop down to different options. But my PR, Justin Ledford, he likes showing them all 4 of those different options the first time. So it's really just whatever style you resonate with more. Cool. Any questions?
Oh, do you only do like discounted, or do you do free stuff too?
Good question. So I typically, you can call it one or the other. I typically offer discounts, and discounts is simply just free stuff. Right? So I usually go the discount route because that kind of resonates with me. You can even say, so I'm going to give you a discount by giving you some of these items for free. So it's still, that's how you do the discount, is by giving them free items. But I don't have to get too caught up in like what items I'm giving for free, just as long as the items equal the amount I'm taking off. Right?
So I was gonna ask, like, how do you enter that if it's like $500 off of the total?
Yeah, so you might, you just figure out, you just play with it.
Yeah, okay.
So when I enter it online, I look for whatever's gonna have the least amount of point value compared to the highest dollar amount. So like, for example, the shears, I don't remember, but the shears are like what, 70 points or 75 points. They cost what, like 112, right? So they cost 112 and they have like 75 points. The Petite Santoku costs like 126. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like 65 points. So if you give them the shears for free, it's taking the less off, and it's costing you more because it's 75 points on a $112 item. If you give the Petite Santoku for free, it's taking more off the price, and it's costing you less because it's only 65 points. So if I'm going to figure out what to do, because the customer doesn't necessarily have to care about what they're getting for free as long as it equals that amount off. So when I'm entering it online, I look for whatever's going to have the highest dollar amount with the lowest point value, and those are the items I want to give for free.
Oh, okay, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
It's like $5 after like the full price, but I realize you're just doing that free stuff.
Yeah, so you can even say to the customer, so I'm going to give you a $500 discount by giving you $500 worth of your list for free. So I'll be giving you that chef knife for free and the cheese knife for free and that for free. And that's going to take 25% off, $500 off. So you can say that. You just don't want to confuse people by saying, I'm going to give you a discount and free stuff. You just want to make sure that if you're going to mention you're giving them free stuff, that's how you're getting them the discount. Make sense?
Yes.
Any other questions? No? I know there was a lot there, and I know there's a lot that you weren't able to write down. I am going to look to see if I can find that, and fortunately, this will provide you even more. And then someone was typing something. Can someone tell me what was going on in the chat?
It just says one participant.
Or maybe that was a text message.
You still have like base pay?
No, I have to take it.
Because it still says stop, so we're good. We don't need to stop. Are you finished?
No, it's a good question. Yeah, I've never had to get basic.
I was just asking, like, just.
Yeah. So the focus should be, and like kind of the entrepreneurial mindset should be like, I'm gonna go create my income. right? Like I don't want to settle for a base pay. I'm going to go out there and create
Right.
how much value I can provide to the world and how much I'm going to receive for the value of giving. And when you focus on that, you'll never have to earn base pay because you'll always be making sales and the percentage will always pay higher than the base.
I've never,
So,
made, I've never made.
It's nice. I mean, it's nice that the company has that base pay because it like alleviates pressure,
Right.
but like you never like the frame of thinking should be like,
You don't want to settle for it.
yeah, I'll never need it. Like I'm gonna, you know, so that's kind of the frame of thinking.
Especially with you, because you're at 50%.
Yeah, I've been at 50% for 17 years. So so yeah, been with the company 18 years, been at 50% for almost 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, ever since my third month on a job, I've been 50%. So
Oh, legends.
maybe not.
Are you finished with that?
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. So any other questions that you guys have? What are your thoughts on what? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask you something about you.
Go ahead.
What's the most that you sold in a week?
So I sell really part-time. My main role now is coaching managers and other business owners outside of Cutco and also sales reps in Cutco. But I did have two answers to that. So technically my biggest week was my biggest order of 20K. So I had a 20K order, which also happened to give me a 20K week, right?
Mhm.
But my biggest week that wasn't from one order was 14K. And that 14K week was where I sold, I want to say I sold 7 homemakers, 2 signatures, an ultimate, some cookware and flatware, maybe something else I'm blanking on, and that equaled the 14K. Yeah. So yeah, it was good. Good income. Yeah. So grateful for that, and more importantly, grateful for the chance to help all those families have something they're gonna use every day for the rest of their life and never have to buy again for generations.
It's crazy.
So
That's cool. That you were
We can
just
order
like,
this on
"Ah,"
our.
and then
on
now you're
Cutco.
like, I don't even have to do it. I'm just a life coach. Like,
so I still sell about 10 to 20 days a year, and I do anywhere between 50 to 100 grand in those 10 years.
and like those 10, 20 days, is it people that you know are gonna buy from you, or is it just like you said of the demos type thing?
Or
Or
is it
go there
like-
and trust.
Okay.
Or is it like these two, right?
Service calls, demos, and then home and garden shows. We're in a booth and we work with customers, and even then, it's not like, even though customers are approaching, there's no guarantee. A lot of them don't know, and so I'll sell a lot of sets to people that have never heard of Cutco at those shows as well too.
Was
So
it the events team?
yeah, on the events team, yeah, exactly.
Well, can we get order that through like our Vector account?
I'm pretty sure if you go on literature,
Mhm.
there's a literature place on Vector Connect that you can order these.
Can we order the sharpener?
And I'm pretty sure you can just get this too at a discount, I think, as well. Yeah, it's worth it. Both of these are a worthy investment because now you get to go add value to
Oh,
customers.
you sharpen my knives?
Yeah, and now you can add value. And then in doing that, it makes it easier for them to want to buy more. One key thing, I'm glad this is on still. This was one of the most important things I had to learn about doing service calls. When I first started doing service calls, I was like, man, gosh, I don't know if I want to do this because like they already have a homemaker. What am I gonna do? Sell another homemaker? Right? And that was a very bad misconception that I had. Like, oh, they've already spent $1,000. What could they possibly want to spend now on Cutco? And when I learned from a top rep many years ago that you need to change your mindset, that however much they spent the first time, your mindset should be, they should be capable of spending at least that amount this time. Here's why. The first time they bought Cutco, they probably knew nothing about it, right? All they did was they saw a penny and rope and leather and they cut a tomato and like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah, I'll spend $1,000 on this thing I never knew about an hour ago. Now, they've had them for 5, 10, 15 years. They've been using them. They know how amazing they are. Plus, they're getting them sharpened for free in their kitchen. Yeah, like the level of value that they understand and comprehend with our product is going to be that much higher. Yeah. So my mindset then became, wow, okay, if they have a homemaker, they should be able to easily buy at least another brand. They got an ultimate, they should be able to buy easily at least another 2 or 3 grand. And when you go with that mindset, it's not going to guarantee that's what's going to happen, but you're energetically setting it up for where if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Versus you being like, oh, they're not going to buy, and then they're not going to buy. Because when you're the authority, some of you've heard me say this before, when you're the authority, however you feel is going to influence how they feel. Now, the customer is the authority over their checkbook. They're the authority over their credit card. They're the authority of how much they buy. But you're the authority over the appointment.
How much you show.
How much you show, how much you show up, the attitude you have in the demo, how you treat the customer, how you like you're the authority over the demo. It's your demo. You're the authority over the service call. It's your service call. And however you feel about it will influence how they feel about it, at least unconsciously. So if you feel like, oh, geez, I already have a homemaker, I might as well just sharpen and get out of here as quick as possible because they're not going to buy anything else. Well, then they're not going to buy anything else. But if you go in with an attitude like, oh, they got a homemaker, they've had them for this many years, well, it should be no brainer that they could easily buy another $1,000 worth because they know the value. They've gotten way more than $1,000 worth of value out of these knives. It should be a no brainer that they can buy another grand. And when I changed that, it completely changed my service call results. Cool.
Great.
Any questions? Feel good? Did you guys learn a lot?
Yes.
Good. All right, let's just make sure we record this somehow.
You can stop video on the bottom left.